ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is video number 52 on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Parmahamsa. This video starts with chapter 47, the master training of his disciples. The master's training of his disciples. Monday, October 26, 1885. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning when M arrived at the Shyamapukur house on his way to Dr. Sarkar to report the master's condition. Dr. Sarkar had declared the illness incurable. His words cast gloom over the minds of the Master's devotees and disciples. With unflagging devotion and zeal, they nursed the patient, their teacher, guide, philosopher, and friend. A band of young disciples led by Narendra was preparing to renounce the world and dedicate their lives to the realization of God and the service of humanity. People flocked to the Master day and night in spite of the excruciating pain in his throat. He welcomed, he welcomed he welcomed them all with a cheerful face. There seemed to be no limit to his solicitude for their welfare. His face beamed as he talked to them about God. Dr. Sarkar, seeing that conversation aggravated the illness, forbade him to talk to people. You must not talk to others, the physician had said to the master, but you may make an exception in my case. The doctor used to spend 6 or 7 hours in Sri Ramakrishna's company, drinking in every word that fell from his lips. Master, I am feeling much relieved. I am very well today. Is it because of the medicine? Then why should not I continue it? And I am going to the doctor. I shall tell him everything. He will advise what is best. Master, I have not seen Purna for 2 or 3 days. I am worried about him. M to Kali. Why don't you see Purna and ask him to come? Kali, I shall go immediately. Master to M. The doctor's son is a nice boy. Please ask him to come. M arrived at Dr. Sarkar's house and found him with 2 or 3 friends. Doctor to M. I was talking about you just a minute ago. You said you would come at 10. I have been waiting for you an hour and a half. Your delay has made me worry about him, meaning Sri Ramakrishna. To a friend, please sing that song. The friend sang. Proclaim the glory of God's name as long as life remains in you. The dazzling splendor of His radiance floods the universe. Like nectar streams His boundless love, filling the hearts of men with joy. The very thought of His compassion sends a thrill through every limb. How can one fittingly describe Him? Through His abounding grace, the bitter sorrows of His life are all forgotten instantly. On every side, on land below, in sky above, beneath the seas, in every region of this earth, men seek Him tirelessly. and as they seek him, ever ask, where is his limit, where is and true wisdom, true wisdom's dwelling place is he, the elixir of eternal life, the sleepless ever wakeful eye, the pure and stainless one. The vision of his face removes all trace of sorrow from our hearts. Doctor to M. Is not it a beautiful song? How do you like that line? Where is his limit? Where his end? M. Yes, that is a very fine line. It fills the mind with the idea of the infinite. Doc- Doctor, tenderly to M. It is already late in the morning. Have you taken your lunch? I finish mine before 10 and then begin my professional calls. Otherwise, I don't feel well. Look here, I have been thinking of giving a feast to you all, meaning Sri Ramakrishna's devotees, one day, and that will be fine, sir. Doctor, where shall I arrange it? Here or at the Shamapukar house? Whatever you suggest, and it doesn't matter, sir. Wherever you arrange it, we shall be very happy to dine with you. The conversation turned to Kali, the Divine Mother. Dr. Kali is an old hag of the Santhals. M burst into loud laughter and said, where did you get that, Dr. O? I have heard something like that. M laughs. Dr. Sarkar on ecstasy. They began to talk about the ecstasy that Vijay and the others had experienced the previous day in the master's room. The doctor also had been present on the occasion. Doctor, yes, I witnessed that ecstasy, but is excessive ecstasy good for one? And the master says that an excess of ecstasy harms no one if it is the result of the contemplation of God. He further says that the luster of a gem gives light and soothes the body, it does not burn. Dr. O, the luster of a gem, that is only reflected light. And he also says that a man does not die by sinking in the lake of immortality. God is that lake. A plunge in that lake does not injure a man. On the contrary, it makes him immortal. Of course, he will become immortal only if he has faith in God. Doctor, yes, that is true. The doctor took aim in his carriage. He had to see a few patients on the way to Shamapukar. They continued their conversation in the carriage. Dr. Sarkar referred to Mahima Chakravarti's pride, Master's humility and aim, and Dr. Sarkar aim. He visits the Master even if he has a little pride, it will not last long. If one only sits in the Master's presence a while, one's pride crumbles to pieces. It is because the Master himself is totally free from egotism. Pride cannot exist in the presence of humility. A celebrated man like Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar showed in the evening. Vidyasagar showed great modesty and humility in the Master's presence. The Paramahamsa visited his house. It was 9 o'clock in the evening when the Master took his leave. Vidyasagar came all the way from the library to the gate of his compound to see him off. He himself carried the light to show the way. As the master's carriage started off, Vidyasagar stood there with folded hands. Doctor, well, what does Vidyasagar think of him? And that day he showed the master great respect, but when I talked with him later, I found out that he did not much care for what the Vaishnava call emotion or ecstasy. He shares your views on such things. Doctor, neither do I care very much for any such display of emotion as folding one's hands or touching others' feet with one's head. To me, the head lies the same as the feet. Head is the same as the feet. But if a man thinks differently of the feet, let him do whatever he likes. And we know that you do not care for a display of feelings. Perhaps you remember that the Master now and then refers to you as a deep soul. He said to you yesterday that when an elephant plunges into a small pool, it makes a big splash. But when it goes into a big lake, you see hardly a ripple. The elephant of emotion cannot produce any effect at all in a deep soul. The Master says that you are a deep soul. Doctor, I don't deserve the compliment. After all, what is bhava? It is only a feeling. There are other aspects of feeling such as bhakti. When it runs to excess, some can suppress it and some cannot. And divine ecstasy may or may not be explainable, but sir, it cannot be denied that ecstasy or love of God is a unique thing. I have seen in your library Stebbings' book on Darwinism. According to Stebbing, the human mind is wonderful, whether it be the result of evolution or of special creation. He gives a beautiful illustration from the theory of light. Light is wonderful, whether you know the wave theory of light or not. Doctor, yes, have you noticed further that Stebbing accept both Darwin and God? The conversation again turned to Sri Ramakrishna. Doctor, I find that he is a worshipper of the goddess Kali, Master's conception of Kali. And but with him the meaning of Kali is different. What the Vedas call the supreme Brahma, he called Kali. What the Muslims call Allah and the Christian call God, he calls Kali. He does not see many gods, he sees only one God. What the Brahma Gyanis of olden times called Brahma, what the yogis call Atma, and the Bhaktas call the Bhagwan, he calls Kali. Depth of Sri Ramakrishna's experiences. In Sri Ramakrishna, one finds all the attitudes and ideals of religion. That is why people of all sects and creeds enjoy peace and blessedness in his presence. Who can fathom his feeling and tell us the depth of his inner experience? Doctor, all things to all men. I don't approve of it, although St. Paul says it. And who can understand the state of his mind? We have heard from him that unless one is engaged in the yarn trade, one cannot tell the difference between number 40 and number 41 yarn. Only a painter can appreciate another painter. The mind of a saint is a very deep. One cannot understand all the aspects of Christ unless one is a Christ-like. Perhaps the deep realization of the Master is what Christ meant when he said, "Be ye perfect, as your Father in heaven is perfect." Doctor, what arrangements have you made about having him nursed? M. At present, one of the oldest devotees is assigned every day to look after him. It may be Grace Babu or Ram Babu or Balram or Suresh Babu or Nava Gopal or Kali Babu. It is that way. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the doctor and M entered the master's room on the second floor. Sri Ramakrishna sat there smiling as usual, completely forgetful of the fatal illness which was eating his life away. Among the many devotees in the room were Greece, the younger Naren and Sarat. Sometimes they were motionless like the snake before its charmer, and sometimes they displayed great joy like the bridal party with the bridegroom. The doctor and I bowed low before the master and sat on the floor. At the sight of the doctor, the master said, laughing, "Today I have been feeling very well." Then the master went on with his soul enthralling conversation. Futility of mere scholarship. Master, what will mere scholarship accomplish without discrimination and renunciation? I go into a strange mood while thinking of the lotus feet of God. The cloth on my body drops to the ground and I feel something creeping up from my feet to the top of my head. In that state, I regard all as mere straw. If I see a Pandit without discrimination and love of God, I regard him as a bit of straw. One day, Dr. Ram Narayan had been arguing with me when suddenly I went into that mood. I said to him, "What are you saying? What can you understand of God by reasoning? How little you can understand of His creation, saying you have the petty fogging mind of a weaver." Seeing the state of my mind, he began to weep and gently stroked my feet. Doctor, Ram Narayan did that because he is a Hindu. Besides, he is a believer in flowers and sandal paste. He is an orthodox Hindu. And to himself, Dr. Sarkar says that he has nothing to do with good and conch shells, gong and conch shells. Master on bunking. Master, bunking is one of your pundits. I met him once. I asked him, "What is the duty of man?" And he said he had the impudence to say, "Eating, sleeping, and sex gratification." These words created in me a feeling of great aversion. I said, "What are you saying? You are very mean. What you think day and night and what you do all the time come out through your lips. If a man eats radish, he belches radish." Then we talked about God a great deal. There was also much devotional music in the room and I danced. Then Bunking said to me, "Sir, please come to our house once." "That depends on the will of God," I replied. There also, he said, "you will find devotees of God." I laughed and said, "What kind of devotees are they? Are they like those who said, 'Gopal, Gopal'?" Doctor, what is the story of Gopal? Gopal, master with a smile. There was a goldsmith who kept a jewelry shop. He looked like a great devotee, a true Vaishnava with beads around his neck, rosary in his hand, and the holy marks on his forehead. Naturally, people trusted him and came to his shop on business. They thought that being such a pious man, he would never cheat them. Whenever a party of customers entered the shop, they would hear one of his craftsmen say, Keswa, Keswa, another would say, after a while, Gopal, Gopal, then a third would mutter, Hari, Hari, finally, someone would say, Hara, Hara. Now, these are, as you know, different names of God. Hearing so much chanting of God's name, the customers naturally thought that this goldsmith must be a very superior person. But can you guess the goldsmith's true intention? The man who said Keswa, Keswa mean to ask who are these customers. The man who said Gopal Gopal conveyed the idea that the customers were merely a herd of cows. That was the estimate he formed of them after the exchange of a few words. The man who said Hari Hari asked, since they are no better than a herd of cows, then may we rob them? He who said Hara Hara gave his assent, meaning by these words do rob by all means, since they are mere cows all love. Once I went to a certain place with Mathur Babu. Many Pandits came forward to argue with me, and you all know what I am a fool, that I am a fool, all of. The Pandits saw that strange mood of mine. When the conversation was over, they said to me, Sir, after hearing your words, all that we have studied before, our knowledge and our scholarship has proved to be mere spittle. Now we realize that a man does not lack wisdom if he has the grace of God. The fool becomes wise and the mute eloquent. Therefore, I say that a man does not become a scholar by the mere study of books. Divine knowledge is inexhaustible. Yes, how true it is. How can a man who has the grace of God lack knowledge? Look at me, I am a fool. I do not know anything. Then who is it that utters these words? The reservoir of the knowledge of God is inexhaustible. There are grain dealers at Kamarpukur. When selling paddy, one man weighs the grain on the scales and another man pushes it to him from a heap. It is the duty of the second man to keep a constant supply of grain on the scales by pushing it from the big heap. It is the same with my words. No sooner are they about to run short than the Divine Mother sends a new supply from her inexhaustible storehouse of knowledge. Master's unique experience. During my boyhood, God manifested Himself in me. I was then 11 years old. One day, while I was walking across a paddy field, I saw something Later on, I came to know from people that I had been unconscious and my body totally motionless. Since that day, I have been an altogether different man. I began to see another person within me. When I used to conduct the worship in the temple, my hand, instead of going towards the deity, would very often come towards my head and I would put flowers there. A young man who was then staying with me did not dare approach me. He would say, I see a light on your face. I am afraid to come very near you. You know I am a fool. I know nothing. Then who is that says all these things? I say to the Divine Mother, O Mother, I am the machine and thou art the operator. I am the house and thou art the indweller. I am the chariot and thou art the charioteer. I do as thou makest me do. I speak as thou makest me speak. I move as thou makest me move. It is not I, it is not I, it is all thou. It is all thou. Here is the glory. We are only her instruments. Once Radha, to prove her chastity, carried on her head a pitcher filled with water. The pitcher had 1,000 holes, but not a drop of water spilled. People began to praise her, saying, such a chaste woman the world will never see again. Then Radha said to them, why do you praise me? Say, glory unto Krishna, Hare, hail Krishna, I am only his handmaid. Once in that strange mood of mind, I placed my foot on Vijay's chest. You know how greatly I respect him, and I placed my foot on his body. What do you say to that? Doctor, but now you should be careful. The will of God, Master. With folded hands, what can I do? I become completely unconscious in that mood, then I do not know at all what I am doing. Doctor, you should be careful. Now use holding your hands now and expressing regret. Master, can I do anything myself in that mood? What do you think of this state? If you think it is a hoax, then I should say that your study of science and all that is bosh. Doctor, now listen, sir. Would I come to see you so often if I thought it all a hoax? You know that I neglect many other duties in order to come here. I cannot visit many patients, for I spend 6 or 7 hours at a stretch here. Master, once I said to Mathur Babu, don't think that I have achieved my desired, and because you a rich man show me respect. It matters very little to me whether you obey me or not. Of course and you must remember that a mere man can do nothing. It is God alone who makes one person obey another. Man is straw and dust before the power of God. Doctor, do you think I shall obey you because a certain fisherman obeyed you? Undoubtedly, respect. I show you respect as a man, Master. Do I ask you to show me respect? Dr. Sarkar and Grace. Grace, does he ask you to show him respect? Doctor to the master. What are you saying? Do you explain it as he will of God? Master. Master. What else can it be? What can a man do before the will of God? Arjuna said to Sri Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, I will not fight. It is impossible for me to kill my own kinsman. Sri Krishna replied, Arjuna, you will have to fight. Your very nature will make you fight. Then Sri Krishna revealed to Arjuna that all the men on the battlefield were already dead. Once some Sikhs came to the Kali temple at Dakshineswar. They said, you see the leaves of the Aswatha tree are moving. That too due to the will of God. Without His will, not even a leaf can move. Doctor, if everything is done by the will of God, then why do you chatter? Why do you talk so much to bring knowledge to others, Master? He makes me talk. Therefore I talk. I am the machine and he is the operator. Doctor, you say that you are the machine. That is all right. Or keep quiet, knowing that everything is God. Grease to the doctor. Whatever you may think, sir, the truth is that we act because he makes us act. Can anyone take a single step against the Almighty will, free will, and God's will? Doctor, but God has also given us free will. I can think of God or not as I like. Greece, you think of God or do some good work because you like to. Really, it is not you who do these things, but your liking of them that makes you do so. Doctor, why should that be so? I do these things as my duty. Grace, even then it is because you would like do your duty. Doctor, suppose a child is being burnt. From a sense of duty, I rush to save it. Grace, you feel happy to save the child. Therefore, you rush into the fire. It is your happiness that drives you to the action. A man eats opium, being tempted by such relishes as puffed rice or fried potatoes. Laughter. Master. A man must have some kind of faith before he undertakes a work. Further, he feels joy when he thinks of it. Only then does he set about performing the work. Suppose a jar of gold coins is hidden underground. First of all, a man must have faith that the jar of gold coins is there. He feels joy at the thought of the jar. Then he begins to dig. As he removes the earth, he hears a metallic sound that increases his joy. Next, he sees a corner of the jar that gives him more joy. Thus, his joy is ever on the increase. Standing on the porch of the Kali temple, I have watched the ascetics preparing their smoke of hemp. I have seen their faces beaming with joy in anticipation of the smoke. Doctor, but take the case of fire. It gives both heat and light. The light no doubt illumines objects, but the heat burns the body. Likewise, it is not an unadulterated joy that one reaps from the performance duty. Duty has its painful side too. M to Greece, as the proverb goes. If the stomach gets food, then the back can bear a few blows from the host. There is joy in sorrow also. Grace to the doctor. Duty is dry. Doctor, why so? Grace. Then it is pleasant or laugh. M. Again we come to the point that one likes opium for the sake of the relishes that are served with it. Grace to the doctor. Duty must be pleasant, or why do you perform it? Doctor. The mind is inclined that way. M to grace. That wretched inclination draws the mind. If you speak of the compelling power of inclination, then where is free will? Doctor, I do not say that the will is absolutely free. Suppose a cow is tied with a rope. She is free within the length of that rope, but when she feels the pull of the rope. Master Jadoo Malik also gave that illustration. To the younger Naren, is it mentioned in some English book? God alone is the agent. To the doctor, look here, if a man truly believes that God alone does everything, that he is the operator and man the machine, then such a man is verily liberated in life. Thou workest thine own work. Men only call it theirs. Do you know what it is like? Vedanta philosophy gives an illustration. Suppose you are cooking rice in a pot with potato, eggplant, and other vegetables. After a while, the potatoes, eggplant, rice, and the rest begin to jump about in the pot. They seem to say with pride, we are moving, we are jumping. The children see it and think the potatoes, eggplant, and rice are alive, and so they jump that way. But the elders who know explain to the children that the vegetables and the rice are not alive. They jump not of themselves, but because of the fire under the pot. If you remove the burning wood from the hearth, then they will move no more. Likewise, the pride of man that he is the doer springs from ignorance. Men are powerful because of the power of God. All becomes quiet when that burning wood is taken away. The puppets dance well on the stage when pulled by a wire, but they cannot move when the wire snaps. A man will cherish the illusion that he is the doer as long as he has not seen God. As long as he has not touched the philosopher's stone, so long will he know the distinction between his good and bad actions. This awareness of distinction is due to God's Maya, and it is necessary for the purpose of running his illusory world. But a man can realize God if he takes shelter under his Vidya Maya and follows the path of righteousness. He who knows God and realizes Him is able to go beyond Maya. He who firmly believes that God alone is the doer and He Himself a mere instrument is a Jivan Mukta, a free soul through living, though living in a body. I said this to Keshav Chandra Sen. Greece to the doctor. How do you know that free will exists? Doctor, not by reasoning, I feel it. Greece, in that case, I may say that others and I feel the reverse. We feel that we are controlled by another or love. Dr. Sirkar on duty. Doctor, there are two elements in duty. First, the oughtness of a duty, second the happiness which comes as an after effect. But at the initial stage, this happiness is not the impelling motive. I noticed in my childhood the great worry of the priest at the sight of ants in the sweets offered before the deity. He did not at the outset feel joy at the thought of the sweets. First of all, he worried about them. And to himself, it is difficult to say whether one feels happiness while performing the duty or afterwards. Where is the free will of a man if he performs an action being impelled by a feeling of happiness? Pure love. Master, what the doctor is speaking of is called love without any selfish motive. I do not want anything from Dr. Mahendra Sarkar. I do not need anything from him, but still I love to see him. This is love for love's sake. But suppose I get a little joy from it, how can I help it? Ahilya once said to Rama, O Rama, I have no objection to being born even as a pig, but please grant that I may have pure love for thy lotus feet. I do not want anything else. Narada went to Ayodhya to remind Rama that he was to kill Ramana. At the sight of Rama and Sita, he began to sing their glories. Gratified at Narada's devotion, Rama said, Narada, I am pleased with your prayer. Ask a boon. Narada replied, O Rama, if thou must give me a boon, then grant that I may have pure love for thy lotus feet and that I may not be deluded by thy world bewitching Maya. Rama said, ask something more. No, Rama answered Narada, I do not want anything else. I want only pure love for thy lotus feet, a love that seeks no return. That is Dr. Sarkar's attitude. It is like seeking God alone and not asking Him for wealth, fame, bodily comforts, or anything else. This is called pure love. There is an element of joy in it, no doubt, but it is not a worldly joy. It is the joy of bhakti and prema, devotion to God and ecstatic love of Him. I used to go to Sambhu Malik's house once. He said to me, you come here frequently. Yes, you come because you feel happy talking with me. Yes, there is that element of happiness. But there is a state higher than this. When a man attains it, he moves about aimlessly like a child. As the child goes along, perhaps he sees a grasshopper and catches it. The man of that exalted mood too has no definite aim. To the devotees, don't you understand the doctor's inner feeling? It is the prayer of a devotee to God for right purpose, that he may have no inclination for evil things. I too passed through that state. It is called dasya, the attitude of the servant towards his master. I used to weep so bitterly with the name of the Divine Mother on my lips that people would stand in a row watching me. When I was passing through that state, someone, in order to test me and also to cure my madness, brought a prostitute into my room. She was beautiful to look at with pretty eyes. I cried, oh mother, and rushed out of the room. I ran to Haldari and said to him, brother, come and see who has entered my room. I told Haldari and everyone else about this woman. While in that state, I used to weep with the name of the mother on my lips. Weeping, I said to her, O mother, protect me. Please make me stainless. Please see that my mind is not diverted from the real to the unreal, to the doctor. This attitude of yours is also very good. It is the attitude of a devotee, one who looks on God as his master. When a man develops pure sattva, he thinks only of God. He does not enjoy anything else. Some are born with pure sattva as a result of their prarabdha karma. Through unselfish action, one finally acquires pure sattva. Sattva mixed with rajas diverts the mind to various objects. From it springs the conceit of doing good to the world. To do good to the world is extremely difficult for such an insignificant creature as man. But there is no harm in doing good to others in an unselfish spirit. This is called unselfish action. It is highly beneficial for a person to try to perform such action. But by no means all succeed, for it is very difficult. You, everyone must work. Only one or two can renounce action. Rarely do you find a man who has developed pure sattva. Through disinterested action, sattva mixed with rajas gradually turns into pure sattva. No sooner does a man develop pure sattva than he realizes God through his grace. Ordinary people cannot understand pure sattva. Him once said to me, "Well, priest, the goal of a man's life is to acquire name and fame in the world. Is not that true?" Tuesday, October 27, 1885. Sri Ramakrishna was seated in his room. Narendra and other devotees were with him. The master was conversing with them. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. Narendra, how strangely the doctor behaved yesterday. A devotee, yes, the fish swallowed the hook, but the line broke. Master smiling, but the hook is in its mouth, it will die and float on the wave, water. Narendra went out for a few minutes. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to M about Purna. Master, the devotee looking on himself as Prakriti likes to embrace and kiss God, whom he regards as the Purusa. I am telling this just to you. Ordinary people should not hear these things. M. God sports in various ways. Even this illness of ours is one of his sports because you are ill. New devotees are coming to you. Master, smiling. Bhupati says, "What would people have thought of you if you had just rented a house to live in without being ill?" Well, what has happened to the doctor? And as regards God, he accepts for himself the attitude of a servant. He says, "Thou art the master and I am thy servant." But then he asks me, "Why do you apply the idea of God to a man?" Master, I shall see him. Just see, are you going to him today? M. I shall see him if it is necessary to report your condition. Master, how do you find this boy Bunkim? If he cannot come here, you may give him instruction that will awaken his spiritual consciousness. Narendra's poverty. Narendra entered the room and sat near Sri Ramakrishna. Since the death of his father, he had been very much worried about the family's financial condition. He now had to support his mother and brothers. Besides, he was preparing himself for his law examination. Lately, he had served as a teacher in the Vidyasagar school at Bo Bazar. He wanted to make some arrangement for his family and thus get rid of all his worries. Sri Ramakrishna knew all this. He looked affectionately at Narendra. Master to M. Well, I said to Keshav, one should be satisfied with what comes unsought. The son of an aristocrat does not worry about his food and drink. He gets his monthly allowance. Narendra too belongs to a high plan. Then why is he in such straitened circumstances? God certainly provides everything for the man who totally surrenders himself to him. And Narendra too will be provided for. It is not yet too late for him. Master, But a man who feels intense renunciation within doesn't calculate that way. He doesn't say to himself, I shall first make an arrangement for the family and then practice sadhana. No, he doesn't feel that way if he has developed intense dispassion. A Goswami said in the course of his preaching, if a man has 10,000 rupees, he can maintain himself on the income, then free from worries, he can pray to God. Keshav Sen also said something like that. He said to me, Sir, suppose a man wants first of all to make a suitable arrangement for his property and estate and then think of God. Will it be alright for him to do so? Is there anything wrong about it? I said to him, when a man feels utter dispassion, he looks on the world as a deep well and his relatives as venomous cobras. Then he cannot think of saving money or making arrangements about his property. God alone is real and all as illusory to think of the world instead of God. A woman was stricken with intense grief. She first tied her nose ring in the corner of her cloth and then dropped to the ground, saying, Oh, friend, what a calamity has befallen me. But she was very careful not to break the nose ring. All laughed. At these words, Narendra felt as if struck by an arrow and lay down on the floor. Am understood what was going through Narendra's mind and said with a smile, What is the matter? Why are you lying down? The master said to him with a smile, You remind me of a woman who felt ashamed of herself for sleeping with her brother-in-law and could not understand the conduct of those women who lived as mistresses of strangers. By way of excusing herself, she said, After all, a brother-in-law is one's own. But even that kills me with shame. And how do these women dare to live with strangers? M himself had been leading a worldly life. Instead of being ashamed of his own conduct, he smiled at Narendra. That was why Sri Ramakrishna referred to the woman who criticized the conduct of a mortal woman, though she herself had illicit love for her brother-in-law. A Vaishnava minstrel was singing downstairs. Sri Ramakrishna was pleased with his song and said that someone should give him a little money. A devotee went downstairs. The master asked how much did he give the singer. When he was told that the devotee had given only 2 pies, he said, Just that much. This money is the fruit of his servitude. He how much he had to flatter his master and suffer to earn it. I thought he would give at least 4 annas. The younger Narayan had promised to show Sri Ramakrishna the nature of electricity with an instrument. The instrument was exhibited. It was about 2 o'clock. Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees were sitting in the room. Atul brought with him a friend who was a Munsif. Bhagti, the famous painter from Sikdarpara, arrived. He presented the master with several paintings. Sri Ramakrishna examined the pictures with great delight. Bhagti had long hair like women. Sri Ramakrishna said, Many days ago a sannyasi came to Dakshineshwar who had hair 9 cubits long. He used to chant the name of Radha. He was genuine, master in Samadhi and Narendra's singing. A few minutes later, Narendra began to sing. The songs were full of the spirit of renunciation. He sang, O Lord, must all my days pass by so utterly in vain? Down the path of hope I gaze with longing day and night. He sang again, O Mother, thou my inner guide, ever awake within my heart, day and night, thou holdest me in thy lap. Why dost thou show such tenderness to this unworthy child of thine? Then he sang, O gracious Lord of like thee, O gracious Lord, if like thee my soul cannot embed itself deep in the lotus of thy feet, what comfort can I find in my life? What can I gain with wealth untold? Neglecting thee, supremest wealth, I take no pleasure in the sight of the most lovely infant face of all its loveliness reveals no trace of thy dear features there. Moonlight is meaningless to me as darkest night if thy love's moon rise not in my soul's firmament. The purest wife's unspotted love is stained if in it is not set the priceless gem of love divine. O Lord, whenever doubt of thee, born of base error and neglect assails my mind, I writhe in pain as from a serpent's poisonous fangs. What more, O Master, shall I say? Thou art my heart most precious jewel, the home of everlasting joy. It was 5:30 in the afternoon when Dr. Sarkar came to the master's room at Shamapur, felt his pulse and prescribed the necessary medicine. Many devotees were present including Narendra Grace, Dr. Dukari, the young Naren Rakhal, M. Sarath and Sham Basu. Dr. Sarkar talked a little about the master's illness and watched him take the first dose of medicine. Then Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to Shama Babu. Dr. Sarkar started to leave, saying, Now that you are talking to Sham Basu, I shall say goodbye to you. The master and a devotee asked the doctor if he would like to hear some songs. Dr. Sarkar to the master, I should like it very much, but music makes you frisk about like a kid and cut all sorts of capers. You must express your emotion. Dr. Sarkar took his seat once more and Narendra began to sing in his sweet voice to the accompaniment of the Tanpura and Mirdanga. This universe, wondrous and infinite, O Lord, is the handiwork, and the whole world is a treasure house full of thy beauty and grace, he sang again. In dense darkness, O Mother, thy formless beauty sparkles. Therefore, the yogi meditate in a dark mountain cave in the lap of boundless dark on Mahanirvana's ways. Upborn peace flows serene and inexhaustible, taking the form of the void in the robe of a darkness wrapped. Who art thou, mother seated alone in the shrine of Samadhi? From the lotus of thy fear scattering shield plus thy love lightnings, the spirit face shines forth with laughter terrible and loud. And Dr. Sarkar said to him, this song is dangerous for me. Sri Ramakrishna asked M what the doctor had said. M replied, the doctor is afraid that this song may throw your mind into samadhi. In the meantime, the master had partially lost consciousness of the outer world. Looking at the physician, he said with folded hands, No, no, why should I go into samadhi? Hardly had he spoken these words when he went into a deep ecstasy. His body became motionless, his eyes fixed, his tongue speechless. He sat there like a statue cut in stone, completely unconscious of the outer world. Tuned inwards were his mind, ego, and all the other organs of perception. He seemed an altogether different person. Narendra continued his songs, pouring his entire heart and soul into them. What matchless beauty, what a bewitching face I behold! The sovereign of my soul has entered my lowly hut. The springs of my love are welling forth on every side. Tell me, my beloved, O thou, the Lord of my heart, what treasure shall I lay before thy lotus feet? Take thou my life, my soul, what more can I offer thee? Take everything that is mine, deign to accept my all. Narendra continued, O gracious Lord, if like a bee my soul cannot embed itself deep in the lotus of thy feet, what comfort can I find in life? As the doctor heard the words, the purest wife's unspotted love, his eyes were filled with tears. He cried out, Ah me, ah me. Narendra sang again, Oh, when will dawn the blessed day, when love will waken in my heart, then will my tears flow uncontrolled as I repeat Lord Hari's name and all my longing be fulfilled. In the midst of the singing, Sri Ramakrishna had regained consciousness of the outer world. When Narendra finished the song, the master continued his conversation, keeping them all spellbound. The devotees looked at his face in wonder. It did not show the slightest trace of the agonizing pain of his illness. The face shone with heavenly joy. Addressing the doctor, the master said, Give up this false modesty. Why should you feel shy about singing the name of God? The proverb says very truly, one cannot realize God if one is a victim of shame, hatred, or fear. Give up such foolish notions as I am such a great man. Shall I dance, crying the name of God? What will other great men think of me on hearing of this? They, they may say that the doctor, poor fellow, has been dancing, uttering the name of Hari, and thus pity me. Give up all these foolish notions. Doctor, I never bother about what people say. I don't care a straw about their opinions. Master, yes, I know of your strong feeling about that. All laugh. On knowledge and ignorance. Go beyond knowledge and ignorance, only then can you realize God. To know many things is ignorance. Pride of scholarship is also ignorance. The unwavering conviction that God alone dwells in all beings is jnana, knowledge. To know Him intimately is vijnana. A richer knowledge, if a thorn gets into your foot, a second thorn is needed to take it out. When it is out, both thorns are thrown away. You have to produce the thorn of knowledge to remove the thorn of ignorance. Then you must set aside both knowledge and ignorance. God is beyond both knowledge and ignorance. Once Lakshmana said to Rama, Brother, how amazing it is that such a wise man as Vasishtha wept bitterly at the death of his son. Rama said, Brother, he who has knowledge must also have ignorance. He who has knowledge of one thing must also have knowledge of many things. He who is aware of light is also aware of darkness. Brahma is beyond knowledge and ignorance, virtues and vice, merit and demerit, cleanliness and uncleanliness. Sri Ramakrishna then recited the following song of Ram Prasad. Come, let us go for a walk, O mind, to Kali, the wisps fulfilling tree, and there beneath it gather the four fruit of life. When you learn to die, O mind, in the abode of blessedness, with cleanliness and defilement on either side of you, only when you have found the way to keep your wives contained under a single roof, will you behold the matchless form of Mother Shama. Shama Basu, sir, what remains after one throws away both thorns? Brahma cannot be described. Master Nitya Shuddha Buddha Rupam, the eternal and ever pure consciousness, how can I make it clear to you? Suppose a man who has never tasted ghee asks you, what does ghee taste like? Now, how can you explain that to him? At the most, you can say, what is ghee like? It is like ghee. It is just like ghee. A young girl asked her friend, well, friend, your husband is here. What sort of pleasure do you enjoy with him? The friend answered, my dear, you will know it for yourself when you get a husband. How can I explain it to you? It is said in the Purana and Bhagavata, the Divine Mother once Bhagavati, the Divine Mother, was once born as the daughter of King Himalaya. After her birth, she showed her father her many forms. The Lord of the Mountain, after enjoying all these visions, said to the Divine Mother, may I have the vision of Brahma as it is described in the Vedas? Then the Divine Mother answered, Father, if you want to have the vision of Brahma, you must live in the company of holy men. When Brahma when Dharma is cannot be described in words, somebody once said that everything in the world has been made impure like food that has touched the tongue, and that Dharma alone remains undefiled. The meaning is this: all scriptures and holy books, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Tantras, and so forth, may be said to have been defiled because their contents have been uttered by the tongues of men. But what Brahma is, no tongue has yet been able to describe. Therefore, Brahma is still undefiled. One cannot describe in words the joy of play and communion with Satya Chitananda. He alone knows who has realized it. Egotism condemned. Addressing Dr. Sarkar, Sri Ramakrishna continued, look here, one cannot attain knowledge unless one is free from egotism. There is a saying, when shall I be free? When I shall cease to be. I and mine, that is ignorance, thou and thine, that is knowledge. A true devotee says, O God, thou alone art the doer, thou alone does all. I am a mere instrument, I do as thou makest me do. All these wealth, possessions, nay, the universe itself belong to thee. This house and these relatives are thine alone, nor mine. I am thy servant. Mine is only the right to serve thee according to thy bidding. Those who have read a few books cannot get rid of conceit. Once I had a talk with Kali Krishna Tagore about God. At once he said, I know all about that. I said to him, does a man who has visited Delhi brag about it? Does a gentleman go about telling everyone that he is a gentleman? Shama, but Kali Krishna Tagore has great respect for you, Master. Oh, how vanity turns a person's head. There was a scavenger woman in the temple garden at Dakshineswar, and her pride and all because of a few ornaments. One day a few men were passing her on the path and she shouted to them, hey, get out of the way, you people. If a stranger woman could talk that way, what can one say about the vanity of others? Shama. Master scolds Sham Babu. I think I should conclude this video at this point. Next video number 53 will start with chapter number 47. Master scolds Shama Babu. Thank you. Namaskar.